I'm very happy to be here today because the topic for today, Act to Impact, is really close to my heart. As long as I can remember, since very early childhood, I had very clearly understood that this world is made of two kinds of people. One, who talk about the problems, global warming, corruption, child labor, so many issues to be discussed in drawing rooms, discussions. And the other group is that who make an effort to bring change. And since childhood, I think I was pretty much the age of the children sitting here in class 8th, I wanted to be part of the latter. And even at that age, I knew that I wouldn't be able to change the world. But at least I was sure that I would not want to die with this knowledge that I did not even try. So a lot of childhood experiences sort of paved my path to become a social worker. And I'll cut the long story short and go directly to the year 2000. When I completed my master's in social work after my specialization in child development and landed at the railway station in Lucknow, exposed to a whole different world of children and childhood, one that I had never imagined or experienced. Children running up and down trains, working, into substance abuse, drugs, you name it, and it was there. It was a whole different world that took me by shock, that there is a childhood here which is actually not a childhood. The railway station actually was home to these children, hundreds of them. It was their workplace, it was their home. I very clearly remember this boy, around 17, 18 years old. He was born at the railway station. He had spent nearly 16 years there. In one of the sessions, he came up and said, Didi ji, because all the children would call me Didi ji, he said, Didi ji, we are born here and we will die here. And I tell you, he did keep his promise. One day, he just fell off from one of the tin sheds of the railway station. And the next day morning when we reached, we were told that he is no more. Many children like Shachi actually lost their life. And those who did not actually went on a criminal path. Petty thefts, big gangs, prisons. The trajectory was pretty much predefined for the boys. And for the girls, it was even tougher. Teenage pregnancies, marriages, domestic help, or simply dead, or just missing. And once they go missing, the possibilities you can all imagine are what? Trafficked, prostitution, any of that. Between 2000 and 2002, I think I had seen enough. I had seen protectors being abusers and children being nobody's responsibility. From police to railway officers, to parents, to older boys who had also experienced the same trauma, also becoming abusers. And the children over there were actually a nuisance for everyone. Nobody actually viewed them as victims because they were into a lot of activities which were disturbing the whole environment there. If there was an inspection, they would be cleaned like all other dirt on the railway tracks. And once the inspection was over, they would all come back. So nobody thought it was their responsibility. And with each passing day, I think our resolve became stronger that we will not have any more Shakhas, Pradeep, Geeta or Zubaidas, meaning no more teenage pregnancies, no more child labor, no more children going into drugs, no more children living a childhood which is not a childhood. And then the whole dream of creating a child-friendly and child labor-free railway station sort of set in. It took 10 years. 10 years to do that. Lot of strategic planning, lot of consultations involving children, asking them how they would want to do it. A lot of that happened through all this several challenges, opposition, financial challenges, physical challenges. I think anybody who has been working in this sector would pretty much tell the same story. And yes, change did happen. Change happened, and the biggest change was the mindset of the people who were in that station. How they started viewing these children as victims, as survivors, as children primarily, and not a nuisance, and that they deserved a better future. A lot of children changed their lives. Some of them are working with big corporates today. They started going to school. There are children who are reunified with their families. And it's hundreds of them. People started saying, oh, you've done a great job and you've made a mark. But from where I stand, I think the mark that we have made is a dot. It's a dot. And every day, even today, new children are coming to this railway station. And our effort is to protect them before they get into the hands of an abuser. Thousands of children are reunified with their families every year. And since 2014, we are also running a helpline by the name of Railway Child Line at the Lucknow railway station. But today, I don't really want to share this journey with you. Today, I want to share my internal journey with you. Today, I want to share that when all this was happening, why I did not become bitter, how I could keep a smile through it all, and how we faced all those challenges, kept a balance with family and work and the emotions and all of that, hoping that if ever in your life you are faced with situations that seem bigger than you, you will remember some of what I am saying today or just all of it. I think as a child, a lot of things, that we hear from our elders, the books that we read, gradually become our inner voice. I think that inner voice is our biggest strength. For me, it's a personal experience that I would like to share today with all of you, that the books and my elders around me, some of the things that they said continuously gave me strength and gradually became my inner voice and brought me through a lot of situations. I'm sure all of you have heard of Swami Vivekananda ji. I was introduced to him when I was in class 8th through some books. And some of the things that he said actually came very handy to me in all these situations. He said, all the power is within you. You can do anything and everything. Trust me, when people around me said, you are too young to do this, they said, it's impossible, these children are all thieves, they will never change. Police can never change. I believed without a doubt that these external thoughts and people will not decide my track. I had this immense feeling in the divinity that Swami Vivekananda ji said, which is in all of us, the power of thought. Just the simple power, and it kept me positive. I think the most important thing through it all is that it kept me positive and made me take big challenges. You can imagine a whole auditorium filled with police, railway officers, vendors, coolies, all of that, taking an oath. The very people who once shunned these children, the very people who thought that nothing would ever change, they actually stood in a huge gathering and took an oath that we will make this railway station a child-friendly railway station. And definitely, I owe this transformation to that one thought that never made me doubt. He said, be fearless. Fear is death. All negativity in the world is because of fear. And it's such a powerful thought. What is the absence of fear, probably? Fear, when we are afraid of something, we would probably lie, we live a false, we try to please people. We try to be who we are not. A lot of times. Fear, sort of this whole thought which constantly in a situation kept me going. When I used to get 2 a.m. phone calls with lots of abuses because a lot of goons were around that railway station whose business was getting affected. It kept me going because my inner voice kept saying, have no fear, because you are in the right track. Not just that, failures. It's not that all is success. 10 out of 2 children also dropped out. And we felt hurt. We felt defeated, especially in the area of vocational programs for street children, especially the senior street children. We failed a lot. We couldn't get them mainstreamed, and after the age of 15, 16, most of them sort of had developed such a pattern that bringing them back was a very daunting task. And every time we lost a child, meaning lost not like lose, like dead, but lost that he wouldn't opt for the options that were safer, opt for the options that were betterment for his or her own betterment, we felt that these things wouldn't work out. So being fearless sort of gave us the capacity to take risks. That it's okay, if this has not worked out, something else will work out, and we have to continue. And that whole effort, that whole inspiration sort of kept me going. It still does. I still continue to take up new things. I still continue to do, take risks in life, because over a period of time, I have learned to address fear. That doesn't mean that you're not afraid of anything, but it just means that you have something bigger. You have faith that you can overcome this, because your inner voice is constantly telling you this. Another thing happened to me as a child. I think in class 12th, I was introduced to meditation. I was always a little inclined to spirituality. And just out of curiosity, I attended a pranic healing workshop and a Reiki workshop. And that sort of became another big strength for me. At that age, actually, we don't understand that why to meditate or should I be doing this? But when you're faced with situations every day, once in a while, everybody can manage. But here for us, every day was new, because every child is different, has his own temperaments, his own requirements. But when you're faced with a situation every day, how do you maintain your balance? Meditation taught me to silence my mind when there was chaos around me, when there was negativity around me. And that sort of made me connect deeper to my inner voice and gave me greater clarity in whatever I was doing, actually. It kept every time any decision I had to take, I would just give myself a moment of silence and feel how I felt doing this. And anything that I did not feel joy or did not feel comfortable doing, I actually did not do. Our organization has, we never applied for a lot of donors. We never expanded. We never we had many offers, because that inner feeling that this place, this impact that we make, these children need us consistently, because consistency was missing in their life. Parents would leave them, caretakers would leave them, but last 18 years, there is a consistent factor. So constantly, I would connect to that inner voice. It also is very interesting because people would ask me, why does everybody listen to you? And these officers who are, not supporting for so many years, this had continued, but these officers have not supported anyone else. Why do they listen to you? And I would say that every time I approach them, I first talk to myself and I talk to my intention, that why am I going there? Fame, glory, name, I don't think that reaches anywhere. If the intention is pure love and compassion, it gets across to the other person, and they all responded to that. So many organizations, so many officers, railways, police, gradually started supporting our cause, and I owe it to that power of thought, of fearlessness, of listening to my inner voice to be able to do that. And every day it is a learning, because every situation to maintain that gives you a lot of peace. It also taught me another thing. We did, all the things that, the corporate world today, the modern world today teaches us to do result-based management, to do lot frameworks, consultations, all of that we did. But what really matters is what is inside. Because the best of ideas will not sustain, according to my experience, if we don't feel joy while doing them, if we are not connected and not sure and not checking why I am doing this. Because over a period of time, there is burnout, there is fatigue. The same thing will not give you joy after a period of time, and it becomes a burden. And I have seen a lot of my colleagues, because they are daily facing a lot of emotional stress. I have also gone through it. There were days I couldn't get off the bed because you listen to so many harrowing stories happening around you of children. It is bound to have an effect on you. And I used to see a lot of angry people who were trying to do good work. And it was a conscious decision that I don't want to be that angry person, because what is inside will only get transpired outside. And if we are wanting to make positive changes in somebody's lives, we cannot be constantly angry. Anger is good, aggression is good, but how we have to still feel the peace, to give peace to someone, because anger triggers action. If you feel for somebody, anger, empathy, this will all trigger action. But when you react rather than act, it will definitely have an impact. But will that be a sustained impact? My experience, my learning of last 20 years is that we need to check constantly what is it that is driving us. We need to be connected to our inner voice. For each one of you, it will be different. Everybody doesn't need to be a social worker to make an impact. Everybody doesn't need to set up an organization to make an impact. And I'll give you the example of these very officers, very senior police officers, railway officers, who just in their position made an impact by supporting a cause. Just how much of where you are at whatever age, what is your area of influence and what you can impact. Tomorrow, a lot of you may take up, corporate jobs or go into, other civil services or jobs. Even that awareness, just that awareness that why I am the position that I hold, what impact I can bring in people's lives. Last but not the least, I would just like to say that to do an act just for the sake of making an impact will definitely have an impact. But if you do an act that resonates with your being, it gives you joy, it comes from deep within you, and comes out of love and compassion, it is definitely bound to bring the change that you intend to bring. Thank you.